Hello friends, welcome back for Bitcoin Technical Analysis. I'm Rocky Outcrop, this is the Rocky Outcrop channel. We're all Rocky Outcropticians together, and if you're new to this, then welcome to the family. Thanks for joining us. So, welcome back to Chartopia, the utopian charting land of TradingView. And right now we've got Bitfinex up behind us. Now the reason I'm starting on Bitfinex, fairly simple, is purely just to take up from where we left off yesterday, where I happened to draw in this Fibonacci retracement tool here, and the same thing could be said across the other charts as well, and we can maybe visit that soon and take a look at how this sort of shapes up on the BitMEX chart, because we know from looking at the prices yesterday that BitMEX actually went down 10% lower than the other exchanges, so I think Deribit did as well. Is partly because of this the high leverage that's available there, and of course the liquidations that would have been happening. And I imagine a lot of people would have been thinking to themselves that no matter what happens, that they'll be quite safe around that 3,500 level. And of course, as the prices went down there, then things got fairly tragic for people. So what have we seen happen with the prices since yesterday? Well, we were talking about how we drew in this Fibonacci retracement here, and we said if this were to be the bottom, and down here where the prices got to around 3,998. Then to have a sort of correction to the upside occur, then we would need to see the prices go up and actually open and close below or above, the 236 Fibonacci retracement line here at 5,500 or so, there or thereabouts. And what actually happened yesterday was that while filming, the prices were down here around 4,900 or 4,700. I can't really remember. They went all over the place yesterday. It was a big volatile day. And they actually managed to close up here above the 236 retracement. So that was kind of step one. And really what we're looking at for then today, it would be to see if we can actually close then above here as well, having opened above the 236 already. So of course we're a ways below that in a minute, at $200 or so, $150 below where that would need to happen at. But we can keep our eye out for that. And of course, it doesn't need to happen today, but just to be sort of, for this to be what we're looking at over the weekend, I suppose, more than anything, would be can we do this and then look towards next week as being positive? And well, what can we see then on the oscillators and things down below? Well, we can see here on the DMI that while the trend, the DMI negative minus is still sort of more or less trending to the upside, you could say that it could be looking towards maybe getting pulled in towards this ADX line here. And if that starts to happen and we get pulled down towards it, then maybe we'll see the trend sort of taper off somewhat. We're looking to see if these things can converge a little bit. Excuse me, sorry, I know that the buttons here appear on as I hover over it. So anyway, we're looking to see them sort of converge a little, and we can see a bit more of what the future could look like for this DMI when we look to the lower time frames. And it'll give us a little bit of an idea of what we might want to see happen in here on the daily time frame for that sort of trend indicator there. When it comes to the other things, there's not an awful lot to be written home about. The MACD has stretched right on down, as you could imagine, given the price action that's been happening. Of course, the RSI went down into the oversold territory, and we discussed how that was one of the lowest it's been really of all time. And yesterday's video as well, depending on what exchange you look at, it was either the lowest of all time or the second lowest of all time, really, on the RSI, so on the daily time frame. So that was quite something. Well, we've made it back up into this bearish control zone now. Well, of course, this is a bearish control zone. It's a heck of a lot more positive than being down this extremely bearish zone, which we call oversold, of course. But when you're in this extremely bearish zone, such as over here, then you don't want to see things remain there, because we went into the zone here at 4,000, and of course we stayed in it right until the prices went down nearly as low as 3,000. So you can see that's clearly, that's another 25% or so knocked off the price. So you don't want to be in the extremely bearish zone, the oversold, so to speak, zone. And I don't like the word oversold because it implies that it's due to then come back up. And as we can see from this example in November and December 2018, that's not actually the way that these things actually work. You can say that in some senses that the words involved that we use in trading, the taxonomy, the jargon of trading, is almost partly designed to perpetuate this problem of so many people getting their accounts wiped out. Okay, yeah, and then on the stochastics, you could say that we're sort of starting to see potentially bullish divergence. Now that's not showing on either of the other two indicators currently. Wouldn't like to write home about this sort of a thing, but you could say, looking across these bottoms here of this downtrend, that there's potentially some bullish divergence. And well, it would take some price action to really sort of see that come to fruition. So that's really what we're looking at overall for this, and we can get, like I said, we can see some more clarity in what I was talking about by looking down the time frames. For instance, here in the DMI, you can see this is kind of what I was talking about. We can see this maybe potentially start to happen on the daily time frame, where the negative gets sucked towards that the ADX. And we could maybe start to see them start to converge. But of course, they've not really started to converge here on the 12-hour either. But if we look down again to the 4-hour, you can see that maybe this sort of thing would be the next sort of step towards that. And of course, then if we go down to the on the 4-hour, just to check it out, there's not really any divergence or anything, but you do have other sort of little positive things like being in the bearish control zone as opposed to oversold here and above the average on the RSI. Look to maybe retest this and continue to move to the upside. That would be half decent. And as you can see, the stochastics are sort of trying to extend the way up the direction. This looks like maybe they're taking that over at the minute just here, but we'll try and see how this pans out. And if we continue to try and push towards the upside, and like I said, this is a lot more positive than it was on the daily. I think things get quite interesting if we look down to the 1-hour time frame. Now, on the 1-hour time frame, you can see it's kind of a different story really across the board. The DMI here, the DI negative, DI minus, the negative line of the ADX, whatever, has crossed over the ADX here. And this is happening just above that 20 area. Now we want to see what you'd want to see happening here is there's the positive then coming up and crossing over that there together. If that can happen over the period of the next, at any time really, over the next day, if this starts to then converge right up together, as you can see, the story from the other time frames is kind of similar here, but then just a little bit further advanced yet again. And we can see these crossover. That could be a pretty strong indicator that this downward trend has run its course. We'll keep an eye out for that. You can see they're sort of kind of trending towards the upside across the other oscillators as well. And that you've got little things on the go, like we're coming up towards this neutral area, the middle line on the stochastics, seeming to be sort of trending to the upside and finding a bit of support. Of course, we're in a consolidation phase at the minute. And I think, again, that's where things get quite interesting, and it's where I'm able to then wrap up this video and keep it shorter. It was 8 minutes, I suppose, but hopefully this adds up to being a shorter video overall than previous ones. And you can see we could have a sort of consolidation type triangle drawn in here. And if we measure it down the way, you can see we've got another solid 35% sort of difference here in the prices. And we can also see that that's about $2,000 as well. And if you take a measured move from there, say I'm not being too generous with this overall, and then we put it towards where there could be a breakout, you can see certain things start to line up a bit differently. Now, of course, we could then be going back down to test the complete lows of the bearish period over here in 2018. That could happen again if we were to break out to the downside. So there's your sort of warning sign there. And if we go back, sorry, just give me a second here, back to the 1-hour chart, then you can see to the upside, the targets then become things like of course, you'd have different profit taking areas, but the 382 at 6,000 and the 50% retrace line up there at 7,250. And of course, if you're curious where this came in because you didn't tune in yesterday or something like that, then I drew it in from the tops, sort of from Valentine's Day down to the lows there using wick to wick on this chart, this time frame, on Bitfinex here. So that's really everything that you need to know. And if you want to stick it out then and see what that looks like if we were to go to the BitMEX chart, then you're welcome to join me here for the last couple of minutes as we look at this together. So XBT, USD, Bitcoin virtual perpetual spot contract. Right, okay, so we're wanting to draw one in, go up to the 24-hour time frame here. I want to draw in a retracement here, going wick to wick using all of its crazy price action recently. So let's just move all of that junk off to the side so we don't have to look at it, and do this down to here and see what sort of price targets this gives us. Well, the 236 is actually here at 5,269 if you're trading on BitMEX. It's a good deal lower, so all of that chat remains the same. And from the other bit from the earlier on in the video, looks like the numbers are a lot lower. Then, of course, the 382 is coming in there at 6,286. Apologize about the readability here being very, very difficult. And the 50% line there being at 7,108. So, like, you know, there could be some of your upside targets. It's not really much of a coincidence coming in around those horizontal lines that I already had on the chart from the past. And, well, that'll do us for today. Thanks so much for joining me for this video. Thank you so much to everybody who's liked and subscribed so far, and to everybody that's planning on doing so in the future. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. And of course, I'll not do any scary thumbnails like yesterday's thumbnails seemed to have been too scary for people, and they didn't like it. If you didn't get the reference, that was Friday the 13th, the horror movie. Guy wears a hockey mask in it. I wasn't trying to scare anybody, really, honestly. Prices are just kind of poking up towards 5,400 over here on Bitfinex as we speak. Let's see how they pan out for the day. Thanks very much for tuning in. See you next time.